Imagine a future farm with fences taller than houses. Inside, there are no cows, chickens, or sheep. There are leopards. There are wolves. There are giant fish-eating seals. It sounds powerful. It sounds expensive. But it also reveals one of nature's strictest limits. Why are the world's biggest hunters almost never raised as everyday food? The answer is not that predator meat is impossible to eat. Humans have eaten many carnivores in particular places and desperate moments. The real answer is that every predator is living at the most costly address in nature. Look at a grassy plain. Sunlight feeds the grass. Grass feeds insects, rabbits, antelope, and other plant eaters. Then predators feed on them. At every bite, much of the original energy disappears. Animals use energy to move, stay warm, grow, breathe, and survive. Only a smaller share becomes body mass that another animal can eat. That is why food chains usually form pyramids instead of towers. The bottom is broad because plants capture huge amounts of energy. The middle is narrower because herbivores can use only part of it. The top is tiny because hunters receive what remains. An ecosystem can support many grazers, fewer predators, and very few apex predators. This is why a field can hold a herd of deer, but only a handful of wolves. The wolves are not failing. They are the final, expensive step in a long energy journey. Their rarity is part of the design. Now imagine trying to build a farm around that final step. To feed one large carnivore, you must first raise or catch a great deal of prey. That prey also needed food, water, land, time, and care. The farm becomes a food chain inside another food chain. A rancher raising plant eaters works closer to the energy source. A rancher raising predators must pay for every lost step below them. That is not just inconvenient. It makes the whole system extremely inefficient. Nature has already run this calculation for millions of years. That is why lions do not appear in herds across the savanna. That is why eagles do not fill every tree in a forest. A top predator is impressive, partly because it is scarce. But energy is only the first barrier. There is another hidden cost that can travel upward through a food web. It is called biomagnification, and it can turn a tiny pollutant into a top predator problem. Imagine a trace amount of mercury entering a lake. Tiny organisms absorb some of it. Small fish eat many tiny organisms. Large fish eat many small fish. Each meal can pass the contaminant upward. Over time, predators may build up higher concentrations than the animals below them. Scientists call that increase across food chain levels biomagnification. It does not happen equally with every chemical or in every ecosystem, but mercury is a famous example. Research has found that mercury can become more concentrated higher in aquatic food webs. Large, long-lived predatory fish can therefore carry more mercury than smaller fish. That is why official fish advice identifies shark, swordfish, king mackerel, marlin, and some other species as choices to avoid for people who may become pregnant, are breastfeeding, or are young children. This does not mean every predator is poisonous. It means position matters. A hunter that eats many animals over many years can inherit part of what those animals carried. The higher the hunter sits, the more carefully scientists need to check the food web. Then comes a third problem. Wild predators are not built for calm, predictable farm life. They are built to chase, ambush, defend territory, avoid rivals, and make difficult decisions. Their intelligence and athleticism make them fascinating. Those same traits make them challenging animals to manage safely and humanely. A cow can be dangerous. A pig can be dangerous. But a large carnivore has weapons designed to overpower moving prey. Claws, teeth, speed, and instinct are not optional features. A predator farm would need stronger barriers, more skilled handlers, and much more caution. It would also need a constant stream of suitable food. Every escape, illness, injury, or breeding problem would carry higher risks. The animal at the top of the food chain is not an easy factory machine. And there is a fourth reason to be careful. Some wild game can carry parasites that people must take seriously. The risk depends on the species, place, and preparation. But it is not a myth invented to make predators seem mysterious. The parasite that causes trichonellosis can infect people who eat raw or undercooked meat from infected animals. Public health guidance specifically names several wild carnivores and omnivores, including bear, wildcat, fox, wolf, seal, and walrus, among possible sources. Careful cooking matters, and freezing wild game is not always enough because some trichinella species can survive freezing. Still, disease risk is not a magical rule separating hunters from grazers. Herbivores can carry diseases too. Food safety depends on inspection, handling, storage, cooking, and local conditions. The deeper pattern is that a wild predator's diet links it to many other animals and their parasites. So why do humans usually choose animals lower on the food chain? Because lower levels offer more energy for less input? Because they are generally easier to raise in larger numbers? Because their food supply does not require building an entire prey industry first? This is also why the ocean gives us such a dramatic clue. A school of sardines can contain thousands of fish. A tuna may hunt those sardines. A shark may hunt the tuna. The farther upward you travel, the fewer bodies nature can support. The top looks powerful, but it is supported by an enormous invisible foundation below. Remove that foundation, and the hunter disappears first. That is why apex predators deserve more than fear. They are living evidence that an ecosystem still has enough prey, space, and energy to support them. A wolf pack is not just a group of wolves. It is a sign of countless relationships beneath their paws. An orca is not simply a black and white giant. It is the moving tip of a vast ocean food web. An eagle is not merely a bird with sharp eyes. It is the final chapter of energy that began with sunlight. Humans did not create the rule that makes predator farming so difficult. We discovered it every time we tried to get food from nature. The easiest meals came from the wide base of the pyramid. The hardest meals lived near the narrow peak. So the question is not really why people do not eat wolves every day. The better question is how wolves can exist at all. Their survival depends on a world rich enough to feed the animals beneath them. And that makes every predator far more valuable alive than it could ever be on a menu.